Welcome to today's webinar from JTF Marketing, Mastering Marketo Engage Email Templates. I'm James, I'm the CEO and a Marketo Solutions Architect here at JTF Marketing. And today we're going to cover quite a broad topic of email marketing, email templates in Marketo. And it's probably the number one area I find myself talking about day in, day out when it comes to Marketo. Why is it so complicated? Why is it such a pain to try and get some beautiful looking emails out the door? And what can we do ultimately to improve that? So today we're going to look at some best practices that we can share with you. We're going to look at some of the common challenges with email templates in Marketo. We're also going to look at what makes a good email template and obviously helping you choose which template is right for you. And then I'll give you an example of a best practice template towards the end, just before we go into Q&A. Now, there is quite a bit to get through today. If you do have to drop off, as I said, we will be sending out the recording after this. There will be also downloads available throughout this session as well, which you'll be able to find on our website. So for those of you who don't know us, JTF Marketing has been around for about 7 years now. We focus purely on Marketo Engage and helping customers maximize Marketo as a platform by embedding it into the business, building automations for various flows within inside your organization and customizing it to work for you, whilst following industry best practice. So making sure that we're always feeding you with different ideas on how to get the technology working best for you. Now, that can be everything from technical implementation through to strategy and roadmap. We run regular audits of Marketo instances as well to best understand what have you purchased, how are you using it, and where are your opportunities. Of course, it can be as simple as education or even ideas, kicking around some ideas and some theories that you might have for Marketo. Whatever your challenges are with Marketo, we've probably seen them before, and we'd love to talk to you about them and see if we can collaborate with you. So let's dive straight into the 5 best practice for email marketing with Marketo. Now, I'm sure most of you on this call, and I'm sure I should have really had a little poll here, have struggled with email marketing or email templates mainly in Marketo. If you've been using it for some time, you may be familiar with hacking away at a template, trying to get it to render correctly in a different browser, struggling to figure out how to change the color of a CTA, the famous conversation, or maybe just even organize that padding, make it look nicer, look more engaging. How do we do that? So hopefully these best practices will help you not only with this side of things in terms of the template itself and the technical elements of using Marketo templates, but importantly, what else is important when we come to sending emails through Marketo Engage? The first thing I always recommend is using something called program templates. Now, program templates, if you've never heard of them before, are often referred to as center of excellence. And these are really just templated campaigns in a box that we want to build and execute. Now, why are they important? They will help us have consistency across all of the campaigns we build. It means that as you bring in new people into your team, they are following the same processes, filling in the same gaps. It means your briefing process to other marketers within your business is slicker and smoother, and importantly means that that execution is faster with less errors. Now, you've also got built-in reporting within program templates as well. Why? Because they're always built in the same way, which means we can measure them in the same way. On the right-hand side, you've got a screenshot here from our own Marketo instance internally, and you can see if you look through, we have web pages that we're tracking with case studies, we've got email send programs, blog posts, we've got webinars, we get downloads, the list goes on. Each one of those is configured in a very specific way to track that specific piece of content or be used as an execution channel. And these, again, can streamline a lot of the activities that you're running. Now, we do have a webinar specifically on program templates, which is available on our website, which is this little link down the bottom. So feel free to go and have a look for Marketo Engage templates and tokens. That is the webinar that will help you streamline that process and importantly improve how do you maximize your campaign builds. Now, why is this important to email marketing? It means that every time that we're building a webinar, an event, a roundtable, or even a blog post, we've got consistency, we've got similarity and in terms of creating those emails and executing them. Of course, we can be as creative as we want to be. And I always encourage you to not only stick to this is the templated approach with the image and the buttons and the colors, but spice it up a bit, try something new, build in some A/B testing in order to make sure that that works. Tip number 2 is track the right metrics. So often when we look at email performance, we're always looking at how many emails have sent, how many have been opened, how many have been clicked, how many unsubscribed, because they seem to be the main metrics. There are broader metrics than that, of course, but depending on the email that you're sending, and going back to that program templates piece, you may choose to measure slightly differently. For example, if I'm promoting a blog post, I'm interested in people clicking through onto that blog post. If I'm driving signups for a software or an application, I want to know how many people have converted, not how many people have clicked. Doesn't matter whether I get 5 clicks or 500 clicks. What I'm interested in, did they convert? Did the message work? And how do I then scale that later on? Now, something that's often missed when we look at email performance data is actually how good is the data quality. So measuring bounce is really important. And if you see a trend or a regular high bounce rate, then we should really do something about it. Again, there's another great download available on our website, Reporting Success Handbook. I recommend the read, not only because I co-wrote it, but importantly because it does talk about getting the best out of Marketo in terms of those results. So we talk about deliverability and we talk about bounce data, we talk about dirty data, and I'll come on to that in a second, but how can we start to measure some of this? How do we understand or avoid having any deliverability issues? Well, we've got to do a couple of things. Keep the data clean, keep it compliant, make sure that we are adjusting our marketable smart lists. So if you've got some global smart lists with targeted audiences, make sure you're filtering out the people that you don't want to target again, or that are bouncing, or that are have left the company. And importantly, start to test your templates and content for deliverabilities ahead of sending. Now, you can do this with a range of tools on the market. There's Litmus, there's Email on Acid, there's Mail Monitor, there's all sorts of tools out there. Marketo also have their integration with 25OK. Again, you can run those tests ahead of time to check, is the template good and best practice? And is the content going to get me caught up in spam networks? Now, if you want to get into specifics of deliverability, I recommend reaching out to us. We can walk you through some of the steps that we typically take in order to monitor deliverability and improve it overall, and be happy to have that conversation. So I started to talk about data hygiene already, and those of you who've been on a webinar with me before, you'll probably be bored of listening to me talk about data hygiene, but good data means good email performance results, and importantly, good lead quality over to sales. And this is really important when we start looking at, have we got duplicated records? Is our lead scores correct because we have duplicated records, or we're not tracking them in the right way, or the missing fields? We've got to spend the time updating those leads, filling in the gaps to make sure that we are passing quality leads to sales. That improves our relationship with sales, and importantly, gets us that marketing associated revenue at the end of the funnel. Now, again, there is another white paper available here, 5 data hygiene must-have. So I recommend, again, you're going to have a look at that. It's a short read, but it's definitely worthwhile. Again, testing. Testing is probably one of the most important things when it comes to email marketing, and I'm sure you guys are all sitting there nodding your head. Again, use tools that will help you view the renders capabilities, whether it's dark mode or whether it's Outlook 2010, whatever it is that you're challenged with, check it out on these rendering tools. Get a real device and test it as well if you can. But I know you're all short of time, so again, have a look at our email send pre-flight checklist, which again is available on our resources page. The idea behind that is to give newbies, people who aren't familiar with launching email campaigns, and even those of us who are and have been doing it for a very long time, maybe some other things to have a look at. But again, if you want to make sure that you get good email performance results, good subject lines, make sure you've got your pre-header filled, maximize the tokens for personalization, and importantly, make sure you've populated the default tokens as well. So you're not saying, dear client or dear edit me, because that will impact your performance overall. So what is the common challenges with templates? We see kind of 3 areas that come up time and time again. First one is Outlook. And I would love one day to not say this is the first thing, but this clunky old email client does cause a lot of challenges, even in the Outlook or Office 365 versions. There are still irregularities in the way that it behaves and renders code, and there are workarounds for it, but we've got to be very clear on what are they and how does it respond, and they will not look the same as something like Gmail or even Yahoo or any other email client that's out there. So again, taking a look at those and understanding what is happening and why is that happening and what can we do in order to overcome it. Again, there is some personalization issues there as well in terms of the way Outlook works, but again, there are workarounds for that. So feel free, if you have some of these challenges, to reach out to us. Of course, the one that I hear probably most is the endless bugs. Our templates are more or less working, but we've always got to hack away at it in order to get it to work. And that's often a challenge because marketers may not have HTML experience or may not feel confident enough to go away hacking at a template. Or in Marketo, if you hack away the template that you're using as part of a campaign, it breaks away from the master template, which ultimately causes you pain later on as you update your branding guidelines or styling, whatever it might be. So again, I think be careful here around hacking away. And one thing we also hear a lot of is other agencies, design agencies, web agencies struggle to build specifically for Marketo Engage. So I'm sure some of these you've probably seen before or are already feeling. So again, I'd love to hear from you if they are common challenges or if there's anything specific that you are challenged by. But ultimately, there is solutions for all of these. And sometimes it comes back to what are we expecting from a design perspective in email clients versus what are we expecting from a web page, for example. The two are very, very different. So what makes a good email template? We have a range of capabilities within JTF Marketing. So we've got a dedicated development team focused on email templates, as well as our software packages that we build for Marketo. And we have come to the conclusion that actually everybody more or less needs some of the same things, which is blocks and modular content where you can drag and drop them and build a template that's custom to you. And I'll show you an example of that later on. Marketo specific code, and this one I cannot repeat more than enough times because actually a web agency will struggle with the Marketo tags. They are a little bit fiddly, and especially when you get into some of the advanced capabilities of Marketo like velocity scripting, they might be completely lost because it requires a deeper knowledge of the architecture of Marketo. Everybody wants responsive design, let's face it. We want them to be flexible. We want to be able to change the colors, move modules, toggle things on and off using variables. We want UTMs to be part of the baseline email template, making sure that we're always tracking the links correctly. And importantly, these days, we need more and more dark mode capabilities. Now, most templates that I see, if you've taken one from the Marketo template library, you'll find that some of these things are missing, or they're there, but they don't work as well as you would expect them to. And that's because they are sample templates. They are not fully fledged and customized templates. So again, be careful here when you get into taking those, customizing them for your brand and trying to execute with those. We have found quite a few times there are some challenges around the code quality of those templates as well, because they are example templates, they are not fully customized, fully tested. So just be careful and be mindful of that when you think about your deliverability rates. So another question that comes up a lot regarding email templates in Marketo is whether we should build the native Marketo template, master template with modules, drag and drop, all that whizzy stuff that we've just been talking about, or use a simple online builder tool, which is quicker, easier. There's no code needed, maybe even no design needed in some cases. But you've got to integrate that with Marketo to control the user accesses, so on and so forth. So I decided to add this slide in just to give some visibility of why I think, as someone who's been using Marketo for 14 years, a native Marketo template is better. And it's not just because my team are very good at building templates for Marketo specifically, but actually what is the impact of these online builders into Marketo? Now, some of the things that are really important here is the imports of these templates via the API, and it is always into Design Studio. You cannot choose the place where it will land in a specific program because it does not allow you to today. It will surely evolve, and surely in time we will be able to do that. But right now, every time you create a new email and you synchronize it into Marketo, you're creating a mess in Data Studio because they're not always at Design Studio, sorry. They are not always named correctly. They're not always easy to move, so on and so forth. And again, nothing is tied together, nothing is consistent. So I do want to make you wary of going that route. And importantly, there is a lack of flexibility in terms of dynamic content and velocity scripting that does become much harder to use if you want to start getting into some smarter technology behind the scenes. So this is an example of a email template, a modular-based email template. And you can see on the screen, we're dragging in one of the modules from the right-hand side. And this is using our off-the-shelf master template that we have available. It's got 24 modules as part of its capabilities. It has the ability to use those variables on the right-hand side in order to change colors, change CTAs, change links, images, so on and so forth, and even disable elements of those modules. So what that really allows us to do is provide you with the full flexibility of a best practice email template within Marketo Engage in order to maximize the capabilities and scalabilities of Marketo itself. Now, the question we often get asked is, what if I want to add additional modules in here? You can. We can simply build them and add them into this baseline template. So the baseline template, in the last 5 years that we've been building this and adding modules into it, these are the most common modules that people will use. And again, you can choose to include or exclude different modules or add custom modules on top of it if you would like to. Now, part of this process is making sure that everything is customized to you. So it isn't just a cookie cutter kind of template, which doesn't look specific for you guys. If you wanted oval images, you can have oval images. If you wanted square images, you can have square images. So you're in full control of what this might actually look like. Again, the modules, if you'd be interested in seeing the list of 24 modules, we can share those with you as well. Just put a little message in the chat or into the Q&A and we can send those across. Now, why JTF Marketing? Hopefully you've got a gist by now at the end of this webinar, and we're 20 minutes in, so we've still got lots of time for questions. Feel free to throw those into the chat or the Q&A, and I will get to them in a second. We are a specific Marketo agency. We focus on best practice in Marketo Engage, and importantly, we've got a dedicated development team, which I don't believe any other Marketo partner in the space actually does. They're always outsourcing it, and sometimes to us. And there's no subscription costs, right? So this is one of the things I'm always thinking about, having been in your shoes. I don't want to keep spending money every month, every year. I want something to be a one-off cost that I can then focus in on maximizing. Now, we typically find that a master template will basically take away the need to keep hacking away at templates, especially when you've got these 24 modules. You can keep reusing time and time again. And if you did decide to maybe have a brand refresh, we can simply update the existing template without the need to go and change a million other items or change one by one those templates. So there is some great value there. It is a one-off cost. It is going to reduce the effort required from a central perspective, and importantly, should save you time and effort when building. I look forward to welcoming you to the next webinar soon.